Our selection will be Plenty Good Room.
Plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. Plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room. Plenty good room, just choose your seat and sit down. I would not be a liar. I tell you the reason why. I'm afraid my God might fall on me, and I wouldn't be ready tonight. That's why there's plenty good room, plenty good room. Plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. I would not be a cheater. I tell you the reason why. I'm afraid my God might fall on me, and I wouldn't be ready tonight. That's why there's plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. I would not be a sinner. I tell you the reason why. I'm afraid my God might fall on me, and I wouldn't be ready tonight. That's why there's plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. Plenty good room, plenty good room, plenty good room in my Father's kingdom. Plenty good room, plenty good room. Just choose your seat and sit down. Just choose your seat and sit down. Just choose your seat and sit down.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speaks, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. When we consider the things that Yeshua came to do, we can recall that he was several times quoting that he was about doing his Father's business, and that he even got a little upset about some of the things that were going on in his Father's house. And he said, you know, my Father's house is not a house of merchandise. And he went and turned over those tables. And what he was doing was getting his Father's house in order. And when you deal with what Yahweh requires out of us, it is that personal part of getting our houses in order. Now, we can be Hebrews, and we can say that we're Hebrews all day long. We can do a lot of the outward appearance things of being Hebrews, but at the end of the day, when it comes time to enter into that land, we're going to have gotten our houses in order. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has to do what you're doing. Sometimes order is what it is. Those that are going to serve Yahweh are going to serve Yahweh, and those who are not are not. And sometimes you just have to get your mind right with who those individuals are, because ain't nothing worse than trying to make a cat do what a dog does. You gonna go crazy trying to make something do what it just will not do. But you have to get that right in your head, because getting your house in order does not necessarily mean what we think it means, because you're going to find that even in the end of things, Yahweh still says, those who are going to serve me, serve me. And you're going to serve Mammon, go ahead and serve him. Just go ahead and keep my covenant out your mouth, though. But go ahead and serve who that is you're going to serve. And sometimes getting things in order means that you give everybody an opportunity to choose where they are going to stand and to make that thing be known. Now, in Ezekiel 20 and verses 36 through 38, it says, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, says the Adonai Elohim. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am Yahweh. You shall know that he is Yahweh. He will not be mocked. Just saying that we're Israel, we can sing all the songs, we can dress the dress, we can walk the walk, we can do all of these things as far as how it appears. But when it comes down to truly being Israel in the spirit, this is why he says, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Because you're going to see that I bring all of the people out, but you're going to see all of them not go in. Then you're going to see the power of Yahweh when you realize that no matter what song and dance people do, they ain't never going to be able to fool the Most High. And how the Most High let people think that they fooling him is he sit back and be quiet for a while. That's what makes people think that they've gotten away with their charades. Consider, it is written in that day, all of these people are going to say, haven't we done all these great works in your name? Haven't we done such and such? And he said, who are you? I don't know you. I never knew you. You have to ask yourself, who are those people that are going to be so certain all the way to the last day that they have done everything right? That is a scary thought. Let's begin today's sermon in Hosea chapter 4. Hosea chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 12. And today's sermon is entitled, Ordering the House in YAH. And we can order our houses how, we want to order it. Like we have a certain way that we want our houses to run. But what we have to consider is that according to the guidelines of Yahweh our Elohim? That is what it ultimately comes down to. Because it doesn't matter whether your neighbor is pleased, whether your mother is pleased, whether your father is pleased. What matters is Yahweh pleased with the order of the house. Nothing else matters. What we think, feel, and believe means absolutely nothing. All of us feel something. All of us believe something. What makes your feelings better than the person who's sitting next to you? They're only better to you because of you. You automatically feel you more than you feel anybody else. That doesn't make your feelings worth more. They're still just feelings to Yahweh. So how you get away from all the feelings is the same order that he gave to everybody. That's how you null and void all the feelings. What are the instructions? When you go to your workplace and there's an altercation, you say one thing, the other workers say one thing. What they do when you get to human resources? What is that handbook, the employee handbook? And they pull out the handbook. And don't need to talk about what you think and what you think. What does the handbook say? Oh, okay, well, according to this, it was his shift, so it was his job. You in the wrong. They don't let y'all just overfeel in the thing. They just open the handbook, and that's it. Hosea chapter 4 and verse 1.
Hear the word of Yahweh, you children of Israel. For Yahweh has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no mercy, no knowledge of Elohim in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood touches blood.
Right. That says there's no knowledge of Elohim in the land. Why? Because when you see the things that are being done, you can't have knowledge of Elohim. See, you're going to get to a point where there's the absence of knowledge, and then there's just the rejecting of knowledge. See, a lot of things is not that we do it because we don't understand. We don't want to understand because we want to stay where we are. Our lives have gotten comfortable. We're creatures of habit. The longer we do something, the longer we want to do it. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwells therein shall languish, with the beast of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away.
Mm-hmm.
Yet let no man strive.
Now hold on. It says, and the fishes of the sea shall be taken away. Somebody just sent the email about the red tide that's coming on in Florida. Then they got red tide in China, and it's blood red water. Dead fish all on the beach. What was amazing to me was the people still walking on the beach. You know what I'm saying? All I need to see is one dead fish. I'm out, Jack. It's dead fish all along the beach, and they just walking. Oh my goodness, look at those dead. Are you crazy? Why are you still out there? I mean, just the beach is lined with carcasses. And this is just a little portion of what Yahweh is going to do. And you're talking about the stench that has to come from that. Consider all the plagues that end up happening in Egypt, and think about what the smell had to be with just hundreds of thousands of dead frogs and lice and all of this stuff. Consider what the smell had to be like. See, a lot of this stuff, we read it, but we go past it so fast, and because we've been told that we were going to be raptured up and we weren't going to have to deal with it, we never really had to, consider any of that anyway. But you go back to verse 2, and this is another part of the things that we've been told. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, one of the biggest televangelists tell the people that the Big Ten don't even have to be kept. All of that is in the 10. And Yahshua say the same thing in the New Testament. So understand that the majority, and just consider how many people belong to that one lying organization. There's just one organization with about 50,000 people physically, and ain't no telling how many watch those lies broadcast on television. And all of these things he says is going to be for judgment. And Yahshua not only says the same thing, but he magnifies the thing. He makes it even more difficult when you talk about committing adultery and hating your brother. Yahshua's law, the New Testament law, is harder than the Old Testament law. But somehow that doesn't come across when you're listening to the Sunday morning sermons. They tell you that, hey, you can do whatever it is you want. They haven't really read what Christ said. He said, they have said of old time, you should not commit adultery. I say, if you look on a woman to lust after her, you've already committed adultery in your heart. And you tell me which one's harder, Christ's law or Moses' law? They're telling you the law is nailed to the cross. Yeah, Moses is. But Yahshua's law is harder than Moses' law. But while you doing a song and dance, you don't get that. You miss that while you too busy singing and dancing. Ain't gonna dance yourself right to the lake of fire. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Yet let no man strive nor reprove another, for your people are as they that strive with the priests.
Your people are as they that strive with the priests. The priests are supposed to be the ones that direct the children of Israel, but it's hard to tell Israel things that they think they already know. So we don't want to listen to no priest. And that's when we've gotten to our height of haughtiness, that we don't want to be told anything, especially when we've already been indoctrinated with what we think is already true. Go ahead.
Therefore shall you fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with you in the night, and I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. I will also reject you, that you shall be no priest to me, seeing you have forgotten the law of your Elohim. I will also forget your children. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change their glory into shame. They eat up the sin of my people, and they set their heart on their lawlessness. And there shall be, like people, like priests, and I'll punish them for their ways, and reward them their doings. For they shall eat, and not have enough. They shall commit whoredom, and shall not increase, because they have left off to take heed to Yahweh.
Right. So they're going to get some things, and a lot of times people read this, and we don't put it in layman's terms. They shall eat and not have enough. They shall commit whoredom, and they shall not increase. Sometimes you can see people doing things, and they'll get some more money, and they'll be so happy that they got some more money. But then they won't pay attention that another bill will pop up right here, right? So they get $500 extra, and done something dirty, and they feel, ooh, and then a $475 bill show up right here. You got $25 for that even. Congratulations. Because that bill would have never even showed up had you not done the little dirty thing. That's that part that we don't consider. So you only count what you do on the left side. No. Count this stuff right here that just showed up out of nowhere. What the water company talking about I owe $1,000 for? I ain't never had no $1,000 water bill. Right. Show you right. Remember that little evil thing you did? There you go, your $1,000 water bill. Right. Go ahead.
Whoredom and wine and new wine take away the heart. My people ask counsel at their stocks, and their staff declareth unto them. For the spirit of whoredoms has caused them to err, and they have gone a whoring from under their Elohim.
All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 59. So we have to consider what was said in chapter 4 of Hosea. It says that our people suffer for a lack of knowledge. But then if you remember what was said after that, it says, because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you. So consider, we have to take into consideration, then that means it's not necessarily a situation that we have not been presented knowledge. It is that we have rejected what was presented unto us, because we pick and choose who we're going to believe. That's why we love to hear from the people on Sunday morning, because they doctor this and doctor that. You know, we love to hear when somebody, you know, got PhD and you know, that stuff is, you know, you can buy PhDs, right? You give enough money to an organization, they give you all kind of stuff. You get all kind of letters behind your name. Isaiah chapter 59, let's start that at verse 1.
Behold, Yahweh's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither his ear heavy, that it cannot hear. But your lawlessness have separated between you and your Elohim.
Okay, what separated you from you and your Elohim? Your lawlessness, your iniquities. That is how you walk. That is what has separated you between your Elohim. So when people try to teach you against the commandments, they are trying to cause a separation between you and your Elohim. Them people don't love you. I don't care how much they smile at you. They are trying to keep you separated. Now, back that on down to layman's terms. What if you had a friend and they were trying to separate you and your husband? Would you be so nice? Oh, they meant well. What? Right. Yahweh is a very jealous Elohim. Everything that tries to cause separation with him, he got a problem with it. Go ahead.
And your sins have hid his face from you, and he will not hear. For your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with lawlessness. Your lips have spoken lies, your tongue has muttered perverseness. None calls for justice, nor any pleads for truth. They trust in vanity and speak lies. They conceive mischief and bring forth lawlessness.
Right, and we don't really think lies are that big of a deal. But he says all liars shall have their part that burns with fire and brimstone. That means whatever you call white lies, brown lies, blue lies, whatever color your lie is, you in the lake of fire with murderers, adulterers, molesters. You in prison with the worst of the worst. And all you did was let stuff come out of your mouth that wasn't true. When you consider that punishment, that ain't what I want to go to prison for. I want to go to prison for nothing. But you got to feel awfully stupid to be in there for lying and sitting next to a murderer. Go ahead.
Verse 5. They hatch cockatrice eggs and weave the spider's web. He that eats of their eggs dies, and that which is crushed breaketh out into a viper. Their webs shall not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of lawlessness, and the act of violence is in their hands. Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of lawlessness.
Their thoughts are thoughts of lawlessness. Go ahead.
Wasting and destruction are in their paths. The way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their doings. They have made them crooked paths. Whosoever goes therein shall not know peace.
Right. They shall not know peace because they've gotten accustomed to crooked paths. So they think that what they are doing is peaceful, and it's not. And Yahweh does this. This is how you know that Yahweh does just judgment. He says all of these things about his own people. See, a lot of us can deal with judgment when it comes outside of our own house. See, we can look at the neighbors and see what they're doing wrong. But can you look in your living room and see what's wrong in there? Anybody can see what's wrong outside. Yahweh dealing with his own house. He says, let judgment first start at my house. Then we'll deal with everybody else. So what do you think that means? That's you first. But you know what gets us is that we look out in the world and they still lying and cheating and partying and everything's still going on. That's what throws us off. No, he deals with his house first. then they that's in the street partying, then they gonna get it. You don't go clean up your neighbor's house and your house nasty. Who does that? You clean up your house. If you got any money, even when we were growing up in the hood, you had men that were out there cutting their grass, and they knew that it was certain women who were single or older women. After they cut their grass, you'll see them push that lawnmower about 2-3 houses down and just start cutting that old lady grass. Ain't nobody asked them that. They know that she ain't got nobody to do. When I was little, my grandmama used to send me to go cut me a grass. I hear on the phone and know I'm about to go cut grass. What? Don't worry, baby. I'm going to send my grandbaby right now. He finna cut. And I'm sitting there like, I'm the only grandbaby here. Oh, man. He on his way, Ruth. Oh, God. Boy, go down to Miss Gresham and cut. Yeah, man. I'm talking about, boy, she just loaned me out like a $2 hooker. All right, boy, now go down there and get that flour and then take that off. I'm just a regular errand boy. Yes, man. I just put a little taxi sign on my bicycle. Boy, this don't make no sense. Right. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 9. Therefore is judgment far from us, neither does justice overtake us. We wait for light, but behold obscurity, for brightness, but we walk in darkness. We grope for the wall like the blind, and we grope as if we had no eyes. We stumble at noonday as in the night. We are in desolate places as dead men. We roar all like bears, and mourn sore like doves. We look for judgment, but there is none, for salvation, but it is far off from us. For our transgressions are multiplied before you, and our sins testify against us. For our transgressions are with us, and as for our lawlessness, we know them.
We know them. They're not hidden from us. Go ahead.
In transgressing and lying against Yahweh, and departing away from our Elohim, speaking oppression and revolt, conceiving and uttering from the heart words of falsehood.
That what proceeds out of the mouth came forth out of the heart. Uttering from the heart words of falsehoods. Your heart and your mouth connected. Go ahead.
And judgment is turned away backward, and justice stands afar off. For truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter. Yea, truth fails, and we that depart from evil makes himself a prey.
He that departs from evil makes himself a prey. Why? Because now you stand alone, and now the people who do evil then have indignation against you. Why? Because you're bringing a light to their doings. All those that live in darkness hate the light. You cut that light on, the roaches get up out of there. They know, man. See, some of y'all ain't never had roaches, so that y'all don't understand, what that is. But let me tell you something. They love darkness. Go ahead.
And Yahweh saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment. And he saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his arm brought salvation unto him, and his righteousness, it sustained him. For he put on righteousness as a breastplate, and an helmet of salvation upon his head. And he put on the garments of vengeance for clothing, and was clad with zeal as a cloak. According to their deeds, accordingly he will repay. Fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies. To the islands he will repay recompense.
According to their deeds. It says, according to your works, which are your deeds, he will repay. When it says that the wages of sin is death. Wages mean payment. You get a check, look at it. It says wages. That's your payment. So whatever that is, you're going to be paid for it. So you have to ask yourself, how many deeds out there do you have that you're going to be paid a negative payment? Go ahead.
Verse 19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgressing in Jacob, says Yahweh. As for me, this is my covenant with them, says Yahweh. My spirit that is upon you, and my words which I put in your mouth, shall not depart out of your mouth,
Mhm.
nor out of the mouth of your seed, nor out of the mouth of your seed seed, saith Yahweh, from henceforth and forever.
All right. Now, when we deal with one of the key points that was mentioned here is your lawlessness has separated you from your Elohim. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3, and we see how Yahweh stays constant in this thing. The same thing that he ends up telling Israel all the way through this book. That lawlessness separates you from your Elohim. So consider, the people who are telling you that the Big Ten, you ain't even got to worry about it. What are they trying to do? They have an objective, and their objective is to separate you from your Elohim. You have no power, no true power, without Yahweh, our Elohim. Because remember now, Lucifer will offer his blessings to anybody. He'll offer his blessings anywhere. He says, if you bow down and worship me, all shall be yours. Where you get that power and money from? Yahweh. He said, no, it's given to me. I give it to whom I will. There's a whole lot of people walking around rich, and they say, oh, God has given me this. What God? Because Lucifer's a God too. He has the power to bless. And I mean, if he started with Yahshua, I mean, that's high up the food chain right there. If he tried to corrupt him, who is Chuck from UPS shipping department? Who are you? He started high and tried to corrupt him. Understand, it says Yahshua was our high priest. He tried to corrupt the high priest. You don't think he's going to try to corrupt us? Genesis chapter 3, and let's read verses 4 through 17.
And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die.
Right. So what he does is automatically he offers a different doctrine than what Yahweh offered. Yahweh said if you eat it, you're going to die. Lucifer said you will not surely die. He offers a different doctrine. So you need to be able to recognize when a new doctrine springs up. Oh, here come Lucifer. Here come Hillel right here. Now he offering something else. Where that doctrine come from? That is different than what Yahweh said. Go ahead.
For Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
So then you see how what the adversary does and how he works. He begins with a separation of the house. The instruction, the beginning instruction was given unto the man. But who did he go to cause disruption in the house? He went to the woman. So understand the power that the woman has. She has an ability to get the man to do something that Lucifer himself couldn't get him to do. He figured it was better to go this way. And we have to consider what that truly is. Yahweh made a man and then brought forth a woman out of that man. That means even the best man got something missing. The best, strongest, smartest, most spiritual man got something missing. Why? That was what Yahweh took out. And you ain't truly whole until you get that back. But how you get that back matters. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
So now they got knowledge, and people say, well, once you got knowledge, man, you good. You know what I'm saying? You got all this stuff. All right, here come knowledge. Go ahead.
And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim.
Now they separated from Yahweh, and knowledge did it. It says your lawlessness has separated you from Elohim. Isn't that what we just read? Same thing happened in the beginning. Why was it lawless? Because he had already gave them the commandment. The commandment is law. Commandment, don't eat from the tree. They ate from the tree, broke the commandment, broke the law. What do they then do? Yahweh comes, they run. You separated yourself from Elohim. He didn't separate himself from you. You separated yourself from him. Go ahead.
And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahweh called unto Adam and said unto him, Where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself.
You understand that even when Israel got to that mount and Yahweh started talking, the rest of Israel took off running, but Moshe didn't? Now, at the point that they have done something that they ain't supposed to do, they heard his voice and got scared. Any other time they heard his voice, they were not scared. Read.
And he said, Who told you that you was naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
So here come the head of the household. Now he don't want to be the head of the household no more. Because, see, now he want to take it and put it on. You see that woman you gave to be with me? She gave me of the tree, and I did eat. But what were my instructions to you? What was my instructions to you? Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim said unto the woman, What is this that you have done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the serpent, Because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. And I'll put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you.
Right. So then Yahweh then utters how the order of the house is going to go from this point forward, because of how the woman was able to be used by the serpent. He has now ordered how these things are going to go. You have to ask yourself, how would it have gone if the deception had not been there? Go ahead.
And unto Adam he said, Because you have hearkened unto the voice of your wife.
Now consider, he getting everybody involved. See, this is righteous judgment before we even know anything about law. He getting everybody involved. Everybody tried to pass the buck. Well, this person did this, and this person did that. And then what she said this. Well, then the serpent told me. He said, don't worry about it, I'm getting everybody. No, I'm getting everybody involved. That's righteous judgment. Go ahead.
And have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, You shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow you shall eat of it all the days of your life.
Cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Now, other things have to deal with the wrongdoing that man has committed against Yahweh. Understand, they're able to put their hand in the ground and pull out whatever it is they want until this point. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 3. And when you get down to all of what has to happen in this book, all of these things are taking place because of that thing that we just read. See, he can't just make that right. There's some things that has to happen for that to be made right. There's forgiveness, and then there's atonement. Those are two totally different things. Forgiveness, you did not receive the just judgment for that thing that you did. Atonement is now you are put back in the right place that you were in before you had done it. That's something altogether different. And people get forgiveness and atonement mixed up. They are not the same things. That's why you have a difference in those holy days. You got Passover in the beginning of the year. Atonement don't come to the end of the year. I don't think people actually think about why he put the holy days in the order that he put them in. We don't consider the things that has to happen for atonement. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 1, and let's read that through 4 and 1.
For, behold, the Adonai, Yahweh of hosts, does take away from Jerusalem and from Yehuda the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator, and I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, You have clothing, be you our ruler, and let this ruin be under your hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Yehuda is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against Yahweh, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance does witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not.
Why would you hide anything if you believe it's right? See, people hide things when they know they're doing wrong. But if somebody has taught you that ain't nothing wrong with that, what you're doing, what you hiding it for? They said they don't even hide it. They just transgress against me and think it's fine. Go ahead.
Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say you to the righteous, that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him.
The reward of his hands shall be given him. As it is written, you shall reap what you have sown. In other words, whatever you planted in the earth, that's what's gonna grow. You don't plant turnips and get oranges. Whatever you planted, that's what's coming out of the ground. Go ahead.
As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them.
Right. And when you consider the situation of how we have our families today, most of us come from single-parent households. And when you consider how some of those things are, you have, in a lot of instances, the women are raised up stronger with education, and a lot of the boys end up being raised to be mama's boys. So they're raised with a little weakness already in them to be used later on down the road. And we don't consider that there has to be some backing up. I was raised in a single parent household, so I know exactly what that was when I had to back up and get some of that feminine part up out of me. See, a lot of people ain't going to admit that to you, that they had to back up and take a few of them feminine qualities and put them on the other side of that. Now, wait a minute, I picked this up from, wasn't nobody there but my mama. I didn't see no man doing certain things. Wait a minute, this right here, I ain't supposed to be doing that right now. See, a lot of people ain't man enough to be honest with you about that part. That's what happens. And that's what we pick up. And we end up taking that, and it goes from one generation to another generation if don't nobody deal with it. Go ahead.
O my people, they which lead you cause you to err, and destroy the way of your paths. Yahweh stands up to plead, and stands to judge the people. Yahweh will enter into judgment with the ancient of his people, and the princes thereof. For you have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean you that you beat my people to pieces, and grind the faces of the poor? Says the Adonai Elohim of hosts. Moreover, Yahweh says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanting eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet.
And understand now, the adversary, the devil, has used all of everything in the daughter of Babylon to go against the black male. All of the power will immediately be put in the hands of the woman. Because what he has to destroy, kill the seed, destroy the nation. The woman doesn't produce the seed, the man does. Even when they go to war, they'll go in, kill all the males, take the women to yourself. Why? Because the women will become incubators for their children. So when we see, and it's hard to explain that to women who they say, well, I can go out and I can get a job. I didn't have no problem. But you're not a black man. You're a black woman. That's something altogether different. You're not going through the same thing that he's going through. They're not trying to kill you. They're trying to kill him. Go ahead.
Verse 17. Therefore the Adonai will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their secret parts. In that day, the Adonai will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cowls, and their round tires like the moon.
And these things are taken away from the daughters of Zion to humble them. See? But it's hard to be humble when the adversary keeps giving you things to make you boast against the setup. See? Me and Kish was talking about this a while back. When you go down to them trailer parks and in white neighborhoods, those people are able to get assistance from the government and maintain their family. They tell black people you can get a Section 8, but can't no man be there. Wait a minute, there's a man in there, huh? Y'all giving them help? There's a man in there? Now you can't be married and receive assistance. Why you can't? Right. Automatic. And then they have man checks in them Section 8 houses. They be coming over there looking for the big shoe. Who this shoe belong to? No, that's a big boot there. Who's this big boot? Ma'am, stick your foot in the shoe. Ah! Stick your foot in the shoe. Ah! Stick your foot in the shoe. It's reverse Cinderella going on in our houses. Stick your foot in the shoe. It don't fit you. You out of here. Right. Right. They don't do that to nobody else. They do that to us. They don't have boot checks in the trailer parks. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 19. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles, and the wimples, and the crisping pins, the glasses, and the fine linen, and the hoods, and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle a rent, and instead of well-set hair, baldness.
And these things right here is definitely going to make Israel walk right. You know, because don't no woman want to be stank. And all the women who got a problem with covering their head, let a little baldness come up there, their head going to be covered 24/7. They're going to be in the shower with a head wrap on. Why you got that? Don't worry about this, baby. This is fine. Right, they're going to take care of that business right now. Go ahead.
And instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty in the war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread, and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by your name, to take away our reproach.
You have to ask yourself, why would women have a reproach? This should be the women who ain't walking like they're supposed to be. Why would you have to have reproach? Why do you need anybody to take away reproach? If you're a daughter of Israel, you ain't got no reproach. That's them that should need somebody to take away their reproach. Not you. Why you got reproach? Unless you not walking like you're supposed to be walking. Let's go to Judges chapter 16. Why would a daughter of Israel need somebody to take away reproach? See, there's daughters of Eve, and then there's daughters of Sarah. Them different kind of daughters. Judges chapter 16, and let's read verses 1 through 19.
Then went Samson to Gaza, and saw there an harlot, and went in unto her.
All right, so he went to Gaza. We hear all the time on the news, the Gaza Strip. Okay, now who he ends up dealing with down here in Gaza. Now, Samson is the only one that they will even allow to be presented black in any of their little movies. You know, they'll let certain ones be black for a reason. See? Go ahead.
And it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson is come hither. And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying, in the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. And Samson lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city, and the 2 posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of an hill that is before Hebron.
All right, so physically, Samson ain't nobody to play with. All right, if you want to fight somebody, he ain't it. You know, if somebody said, look, man, this man did something against your family, this man wrong, where he at? I'm finna do something to him. There he is, Samson. I think my family gonna be all right, bro. I think, you know what I'm saying? I certainly feel the need to be forgiven. Go ahead, bro. Not fighting that dude, man. Not fighting that dude, bro. No, man. It's like he like beat up like whole villages, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, I think we should, you know, practice a little forgiveness today. That's what I think. Baby, you straight, right? All right, then. Well, we are. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 4, and it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the masters of the Philistines came up unto her.
Right, and we're dealing with these Africans. Go ahead.
And said unto her, entice him, and see wherein his great strength lies, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him. And we will give you every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver.
So what did they do? The same thing that the adversary did. We can't figure out how to beat this man. But you, woman of power, you can. Find out where his strength lies. Go ahead.
And Delilah said to Samson, tell me, I pray you, wherein your great strength lies, and wherewith you mighteth be bound to afflict you. And Samson said unto her, if they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak, and be as another man. Then the masters of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto him, the Philistines be upon you, Samson. And he brake the withs, as a thread of tow is broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. And Delilah said unto Samson, behold, you have mocked me, and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray you, wherewith you might be bound.
All right, stop. All right. What kind of woman want to know how you can be destroyed? You know what I'm saying? I mean, this first of all, there's certain things that, you know, people want to know. And you have to ask yourself, why is that what you want to know? Why you want to know what will destroy me? Go ahead.
And he said unto her, if they bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak, and be as another man.
Now, after the first time, you done woke me up talking about the Philistines up in here. Hey, look, we don't play like that. We don't play. Hey, let me tell you something. If that the game you want to play, we won't play like that. That ain't how you wake me up. And then I see you done tried to tie me up too. We're done with that game right here. We need to play Monopoly or something, because this game right here ain't gonna work. Go ahead.
Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon you, Samson. And there were liers in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. And Delilah said unto Samson, hitherto you have mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith you might be bound. And he said unto her, if you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web. And she fastened it with the pin, and said unto him,
he must be a heavy sleeper. Because she seemed to be doing a lot of things every time he go to sleep. Go ahead.
the Philistines be upon you, Samson. And he awaked out of his sleep, and went away with the pin of the beam, and with the web. And she said unto him,
Oh, now it's about to get good. Go ahead.
How can you say, I love you?
You don't love me. See, the one thing you have to understand about the power of a woman fights differently. See, this man has physical brute strength. This woman wars differently. See, she's warring with her man. And you have to understand, when you talk about Yahweh made a woman out of a man, so then there's something that's missing out of that man. Man wars one way. A woman wars a different way. But then a man and a woman are supposed to come together and cleave as one. What happens then? You get that warring part of the woman back on with you, and now y'all can war together, being a stronger army. But if y'all don't cleave together, y'all end up using your powers against one another. So instead of fighting as a cohesive unit, because you got strength as a male, and she has this cunning way of war, because she don't have physical strength. So she has to fight and war a different way. But if you are not aware of that, or you guys have not blended as one, y'all using y'all powers against each other instead of making them one cohesive unit, and then y'all fighting the world together. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And she said unto him, How can you say, I love you, when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times, and have not told me wherewith in your great strength lies. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart.
Now
and
you see
said,
that, boy, the power of nagging is so absolutely powerful. The man that can pick up a beam and make the whole house fall. You can kill him with nagging. Just nagging. Look, if you just, my locks, man, I'll die. Good God, just stop talking, woman. Stop nagging me. But he can beat the whole village. Imagine if they took that power and they used the power that she has and the power that he has, and they allowed those powers to join together. Imagine how powerful, how much more powerful he would have been as a man. Look at the opening that was left. The opening is that rib that was taken out of him, and he was destroyed with it. Imagine if she allowed her power to be joined with his, and he allowed his to be joined with hers. Think about what kind of powerful unit they become. But as long as they separate, we end up being just like we were before. Judah and Israel, 2 separate nations fighting one another. Go ahead.
Verse 17. That he told her all his heart, and said unto her, There has not come a razor upon my head, for I've been a Nazarite unto Elohim from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man.
Mm-hmm.
And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the masters of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath showed me all his heart. Then the masters of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him.
Right. So, you look at how these things were done. Even within all of this, the man was not even really able to recognize that his woman is warring with him. This is how covert and well her warfare is. That he's in the middle of war and don't even know he's been warred against. But imagine if you put those 2 skills together. Y'all do know what it says in this book, that the children of Israel, the saints of the Most High, shall take the kingdom. So you do understand that we're going to need the I know a lot of people tell you, well, it's just men that go to war. But let me tell you something. The men are going to need all of their power, which includes the power that their woman has. We're going to need all of that. So don't get it twisted thinking, okay, the men gonna go to war and y'all gonna sit there and make biscuits. War is war all the way around. It is going to be hell on every bit of us who has to go through it. And this is why Yahweh say, I'm gonna bring them out of the countries, but they all not going in. Why? Because I can't fight a holy war with unholy people. So the unholy people gonna get cut off. He'll bring them out, but y'all not gonna fight with me. When they stole one thing, that Babylonish garment, Yahweh asked, who the one came out to Moses? What his name is? Joshua. Told Joshua, hey man, what you crying for? Man, get off your knees, man. What are you crying for? Why don't you know what happened? Israel done stole something, man, and they done brought the curse thing among them. And unless you go and get it out, I will no longer be with you. So we can cut out all the emotion, man. I got enough salt water right there in that ocean. I don't need yours. Quit all the crying. You a priest. You should know why I am not with you. Go take care of that business. Go get that cursed thing. Get it out from among you. And then I'll go with you. Simple as that. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 15. See, Yahweh is consistent.
Second Chronicles chapter 15 and verse 1. And the spirit of Elohim came upon Azariah the son of Oded, and he went out to meet Asa, and said unto him, Hear you me, Asa, and all Yehuda and Benjamin, Yahweh is with you, while you be with him.
All right, stop. Yahweh is with you while you be with him. Wait, what are you talking about? See, a lot of us believe Yahweh gonna be with us whatever we do. When I do good, Yahweh gonna be with me. When I do evil, Yahweh gonna be, stop. See, right when you get ready to do the evil, Yahweh be like, you know what, I'm gonna be out here. You go ahead and go in. What? I thought you with me, Yahweh. No, because you about to do some foolishness in there. I ain't going in there. No, I'll be out here. I'll see you when you come out. He is with you while you be with him. Go ahead.
And if you seek him, he will be found of you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you.
Right. Go ahead.
Now for a long season, Israel has been without the true Elohim, and without a teaching priest, and without law.
For a long season, Israel has been without a true Elohim and without a teaching priest. See, some people like titles. I'm more this. The priests still teach. They have been without a teaching priest. So Israel then gets worse and worse and worse as time goes on without a teaching priest. We don't need somebody to just give you motivational speeches every week to tell you how much God loves you. He just loves you. Just do whatever it is you feel like you think you want to do. He just loves you anyway. He just loves you to Reese's Pieces. He just loves. Matter of fact, come here, let's hug. Let's everybody just get a group hug. You don't need that. Matter of fact, nothing is going to change in your situation with somebody just constantly giving you a motivational speech every week. That's not what he sent these prophets to do. But that's what we like. See? Go ahead.
Verse 4. But when they in their trouble did turn unto Yahweh Elohim of Israel, and sought him, he was found of them.
Right. And this is the case over and over again. When we fall, we have issues, we have situations, we seek Yahweh with our own heart, and he delivers us out of the mess. It has happened. The whole book of Judges is the same thing. We go away from Yahweh. He ended up delivering us into captivity. That then causes us to seek Yahweh even harder. Then he delivers us. But then what happened? We get comfortable. We get comfortable whenever we don't have any problems. And then we slide right back to where we came from. Go ahead.
And in those times there was no peace to them that went out, nor to him that came in, but great vexations were upon all the inhabitants of the countries. And nation was destroyed of nation, and city of city, for Elohim did vex them with all adversity. Be you strong, therefore, and let not your hands be weak, for your works shall be rewarded. And when Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Oded the prophet, he took courage and put away the abominable idols out of all the land of Yehudah and Benjamin, and out of the cities which he had taken from Mount Ephraim.
Right. So he took courage when he heard this. So in other words, he didn't reject the knowledge that was brought unto him. See, we still have the opportunity to, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't want to hear that. We still have an opportunity to just say, we don't want to hear that. Go ahead.
And renewed the altar of Yahweh that was before the porch of Yahweh. And he gathered all Yehudah and Benjamin, and the strangers with them out of Ephraim and Manasseh, and out of Simeon. For they fell to him out of Israel in abundance, when they saw that Yahweh his Elohim was with him.
Mm-hmm.
So they gathered themselves together at Jerusalem in the 3rd month, in the 15th year of the reign of Asa. And they offered unto Yahweh the same time of the spoil which they had brought, 700 oxen and 7,000 sheep. And they entered into a covenant to seek Yahweh Elohim of their fathers with all their heart and with all their soul.
Right. So then they begin to make a point to renew this covenant. So they're going all the way out because they know they've broken the covenant. So now they're seeking diligently to renew this covenant, to do this thing right. Go ahead.
That whosoever would not seek Yahweh Elohim of Israel should be put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
And they swear.
Whether man or woman. So you have a lot of people say, well, I don't need to know the word like that. My husband know it. I ain't really got to know it like that, But I keep telling y'all, all them folks who got the megaphones on the corner, cussing everybody out, they got wives too. And when they get out of the countries, they're going to be right in your face. They're going to have them fringes in your face, talking that same twisted doctrine that they done heard from their husband. They're going to be saying it to you. And what are you going to say?
Oh, well, if my husband were here, he could answer that.
They ain't going to work. They ain't going to work. Because they got some little women microphones, some little cute pink ones. They're going to be shining right in your face. You better be ready. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And they swear unto Yahweh with a loud voice, and with shouting, and with trumpets, and with cornets. And all Yehudah rejoiced at the oath, for they had sworn with all their heart, and sought him with their whole desire.
Sought him with their whole desire. See, we don't know what that is. To seek unto Yahweh our Elohim with our whole desire. That means nothing else overrides that. Nothing else is more important than that. See, we don't know what our whole desire is. And there's some people who have fooled themselves. Oh, I love Yahweh. Mention something?
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be able to do that. I look pretty when my hair's out. I'm not going to be covering my hair. I'm not going to be, I got to wear a dress, but I look so good in these abominations.
Right.
Right.
Right. You come down to that point of salvation. What is worth your salvation? Nothing. You have to consider how important that is. Go ahead.
And he was found of them, and Yahweh gave them rest round about. And also concerning Micaiah, the mother of Asa the king, he removed her from being queen.
Wait a minute now. He removed his mama from being queen. Uh-oh. No, now see, now you're getting into some stuff here. Because see, a lot of us, we'll deal, some of us even deal with our wives what we deal with our mama. Because remember, mama the one who raised us with just a hint of weakness so she can always get you.
Baby, your mama needs such and such. I'm on my way, mama.
And left his whole family. Wife running behind the car. Baby! Baby! He gone.
I'm on the call.
Good God, he done forgot he got children and everything. He's just gone, and my mama called me. He has removed her from being queen. Go ahead.
Because she had made an idol in a grove.
Uh-huh.
And Asa cut down her idol and stamped it and burned it at the brook Kidron.
Ooh, you done made mama mad now, boy. How you gonna burn my idol and just stamp on it like that? You don't love your mama. You got the wrong kind of loyalty.
Right, my loyalty is to my Elohim. What Yahshua saying? Whoever loves mother and father more than me is not worthy of me. Nothing is going to override my covenant with Yahweh, my Elohim. And if you stand in between me and my covenant with Yahweh, plan on being up under my car. Go ahead and plan on it. You finna look at my oil filter, all the stuff that's up under that car. You finna get a good view of it. Because ain't nothing standing in between me and that. Go ahead.
But the high places were not taken away out of Israel. Nevertheless, the heart of Asa was perfect all his days.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought into the house of Elohim the things that his father had dedicated, and that he himself had dedicated, silver and gold and vessels. And there was no more war onto the 35th year of the reign of Asa.
Now consider that. Because of how he walks, you then get the peace that comes with it. We want the peace, but we still want to walk how we want to walk. See, we want the result of the stuff without doing the stuff. Right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 4. Everybody say they want peace. Just like everybody want a nice car. See how many people up at 5 o'clock in the morning ready to go to work?
Oh, that is a nice automobile there. I'm going to definitely get me one of them.
All right, well, let's go to work. Let's do some overtime.
No, I'm not really with that overtime thing. I'm not really. It don't really sit on me well.
Right, but you ready to get that car, though. You like that car, though, right? Right. Exodus chapter 4, and let's read verses 19 through 26. Eli, what you got that thing on over there, brother? I don't think Eli don't know how to work that app, man. I don't think. I think that app is too difficult for deacons. I don't know. I don't know. I think you got to be a priest to work that app over there. I don't know what's going on. Exodus chapter 4, and let's read verses 19 through 26.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought your life.
So understand, Yahweh is asking him to do something that is very, very difficult in his life. He is a fugitive, okay? He has murdered a man and had to run out of that country. Yahweh is now saying, go back into that place where you're a fugitive. So, to us, that would be, we did something. We ran to Mexico. We've been eating tacos for 40 years. And now Yahweh said, I'm going to need you to go back to Georgia. What? You do know you know what happened in Georgia, right? Yeah, I know. Go back to Georgia. So understand what is going on in his head already. So, and a lot of people believe Yahweh wouldn't ask me to do anything that would hurt my heart. You silly Negroes tickle me. Go ahead, bro.
And Moshe took his wife and his sons, and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moshe took the rod of Elohim in his hand. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, When you go to return into Egypt, see that you do all these wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go.
Okay, not only will Yahweh ask you to do something difficult, but he'll ask you to do something, and it don't even look like you're going to succeed. He actually tells you that you're going to fail and still send you. Now, go and tell him such and such, but he's not going to listen to you. So exactly why am I going again? Because you have already told me that he's not going to hear me. Yeah. Just follow your instructions. Shut up. Just go and do what I'm telling you to do. Because I need to make sure that righteous judgment is able to come to this individual. It's not about him hearing and adhering to what you say, but you got to say it because you're speaking for me. So go and say the stuff that I'm telling you to say. That way I make for certain when righteous judgment come, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. I know you was told. Go ahead.
And you shall say unto Pharaoh, Thus said Yahweh, Israel is my son, even my firstborn.
And look at how he likens the entire children of Israel as his son. And then when you understand the deity part of that, we are named after Israel, the son of Yahweh. He says, my people that are called by my name, we ain't call Yahwehites, we call Israelites. So understand how much power it is in the name of this son. Go ahead.
And I say unto you, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if you refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay your son, even your firstborn. And it came to pass by the way in the end.
Now, he had said all of these wonderful things about him. He said all of these wonderful things. You're going to do all this wonderful stuff. I need you to do this, man. You're going to go back. I'm protect you. I'm going to protect you. I know you're a fugitive. Go ahead.
And it came to pass by the way in the end that Yahweh met him and sought to kill him.
By the way, I'm going to kill you. Huh? I'm going to bless you. Here go your little magic staff. You can part the waters. You're going to do all this stuff. By the way, I'm going to kill you. What? Is he schizophrenic? What? You just told me you're going to do these great things, and now you're trying to kill me? Yeah, because you ain't took care of some business. Go ahead.
Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son.
Right. Wait a minute. The unfinished business here. See, there was a part in his house that it has already been an ongoing situation that he need to circumcise these children. But understand, Zipporah is not from his nation. She don't like circumcision. So understand that you're dealing with the edited version right here. See, Yahweh will leave certain things out to protect the guilty. Now, Moshe is his man, 50 grand, right? Some of this story missing. See, there's some argument in between Moshe and his foreign wife because she don't want to change the culture. She don't want to adhere to the culture. She didn't grow up like this. She didn't grow up dealing with circumcision. She don't want to hear that. What is this change? I don't know nothing about this change in culture. What is this? Yahweh let it slide long enough. Now, who is Yahweh finna kill? But this is the interesting part. She doesn't like the circumcision, but Yahweh is finna kill him, not her. The head of the house thing is pretty serious. See, everybody want to be part-time leaders of the house. And as soon as some mess happened,
You know, it was that woman you gave me, Yahweh. It was, go in there.
no. I want to talk to you. No, I need to talk to you. I want to talk to you. You the one I want to talk to. Go ahead.
And cast it at his feet and said, surely a bloody husband are you to me.
A bloody husband you are to me. Go ahead.
So he let him go.
So he let him go. So we then see what the angel was about to kill him about. Because he had given a opportunity for these children to continually not get this circumcision because his wife didn't like it. But there comes a point in that house where Yahweh said, okay, you need to take care of this business. And if you don't, I'm going to kill you. Go ahead.
Then she said, a bloody husband you are because of the circumcision.
And she repeated herself. She wanted to make sure it was known. She made a statement, you're a bloody husband. Bloody husband. Then she tell him why. Because of this circumcision, you are a bloody. She made sure she let it know what she don't like. I don't like it. My uncles wasn't circumcised. My daddy ain't circumcised. My daddy ain't circumcised. None of my cousins are circumcised. And now you gonna sit here and cut the pee-pee of my little boys. I don't like it. Right. But Yahweh has uttered what his culture is. What is more important than your salvation? Absolutely nothing. All of that stuff seems like it's so important when your feelings is driving the car. Get your feelings out of the driver's seat. And when you do that, you'll find that this car is going to run way better. It's going to travel way better than you think. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7.
12:17.
See, Yeshua was doing the same thing, getting his father's house in order. And what did he do? Came in and changed the whole priesthood. They got a whole building, miraculous, with all the priests, all the trimmings, all of that. What does he do? Come and grab a bunch of fishermen. You two brothers, y'all follow me. You two brothers, y'all come follow me. Wait a minute. Where you getting these priests from? These some hood brothers. They cutting off people's ears and stuff. They ready to fight at the drop of a dime. Right. Yahshua said, no, I need some real brothers in my priesthood. See, that's that part people ain't thought about. He didn't go and pick people from the temple. He got brothers off the street. You, come follow me. I'm going to show you how to be fishers of men. He came and got his father's house in order. Just pushed all the whole of the priesthood to the side. He became a high priest, which made those 12 brothers under priests. Yet people will tell you the priesthood is done away with. How can it be done away with and you got a high priest? What does he rule over if he don't have anything to rule over? 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and let's read verses 10 through 16.
And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Adonai. Let not the wife depart from her husband.
Right. Now, it's amazing to me that Sunday church will never read, these things because they okay marriage and divorce over and over. You can get divorced as many times and remarried as many times in Sunday church, and it means absolutely nothing. And that is a very new thing because before, everybody operated as, hey, you got married. That was a forever covenant. But that's not how things are even talked about or even dealt with nowadays. Go ahead.
But and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband.
What will then get her to be in that place where she could be reconciled to her husband? Let her remain unmarried. What do they promote at the church? You get divorced, just get remarried. So if she get remarried, there's nothing to make her want to reconcile with her husband. But if she stays alone, then maybe now they have an opportunity to reconcile, being that now they miss one another. See, a lot of times, you see somebody too much, and you think, well, I don't really care for them like that. They getting on my nerves, blah, blah, blah. All right. Go a little while and don't see your sugar booker.
You're like, man, I miss Honey Boo Boo.
Right. The strongest man is sitting in the corner crying. Oh, when you come home, girl, I miss my Honey Boo Boo. It's so cold in here. It's so cold. Well, don't the heat work? It's not your heat, baby. It ain't your heat. It ain't that kind of heat. Right. That's a different kind. Georgia Power don't make that kind of heat, boy. Right. Atlanta Gas Light can't bring that kind of heat, boy. Right. Let her be reconciled unto her husband. Go ahead.
And let not the husband put away his wife.
Mm-hmm.
But to the rest speak I, not the Adonai. If any brother has a wife that believes not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away.
And that was and the reason I read that, because people will go into the Exodus part and deal with how Moshe had to force order in his house, but don't get that twisted. This does not mean that you then force somebody to walk in the word. Okay? You have to try to get order in your house, but then sometimes order has different things. See, sometimes there's a part where you have to just accept this person is not going to walk in this word, or sometimes they may need a longer opportunity to accept the word, but they can't walk against you. Keep reading, and we're going to show that.
And the woman which has an husband that believes not.
Right, because it may be the opposite way. It may be we have some sisters in this word and their husbands are not. Then we have husbands in this word and their wives are not. Go ahead.
And if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
Right, if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. Now, being pleased to dwell with somebody means that you don't put stumbling blocks in front of them. Because see, if you're in a relationship with somebody and when we keep our Sabbath, we're going to keep our Sabbath spiritually clean. That means there's certain things after Friday night we're not going to do. Well, when you married to somebody and they go to one of them heathen spots, they can go unclean. So, you know, they try to make you party Friday night. That's a problem. So you can't put stumbling blocks in front of me and say that it's okay. If you are an unbeliever, you can't put stumbling blocks in front of me. Go ahead.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy.
Right. Now, even if that other party is unbelieving, they still have to conduct themselves in a certain way. Go ahead.
But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but Elohim has called us to peace.
The only legal divorce in the book, other than fornication. Go ahead.
For what knoweth you, O wife, whether you shall save your husband? Or how knoweth you, O man, whether you shall save your wife?
Now, if you put that with the things that happened in the garden, you see that the man had the opportunity to save his wife if he had not gone with her. So sometimes there has to be enough separation so one party can save the other. And the same thing happened in the opposite when you deal with Ananias and Sapphira, that they had agreed that they were going to tell this lie that the land was sold for so much. The woman agreed to tell the lie with him. Had she stepped out and said, no, I'm not going to tell this lie, she might have had the opportunity to save her house. So it's not just one way, like the man saves the house and the woman does nothing. No, the woman may be put in situations where she gets the opportunity to save the house. But that may be that you have to step outside and say, no, we're going to deal with this according to what it says in the book. I can't agree with you with that. I'm not going to go and lie to this priest and tell them people that we sold this land for this amount of money. And who knows, had that woman said that, that man would have, all right, baby, we don't need to do that. But why was he emboldened to go along with it? Because she agreed. Let's go to James chapter 2.
1308.
James chapter 2, and let's read verses 14 through 26.
Verse 14. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and have not works? Can faith save him?
And we hear this all the time. Oh, I got faith. I got faith. All right, well, tell me what it is you do again. Oh, I got faith. I got the faith in God. All right, now tell what that is you do. I forgot. I didn't hear that again. Go ahead.
If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be you warmed and filled, notwithstanding you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what does it profit?
Right. So if you go to church and we just say, we are more than conquerors, hold out thou, yeah, you just threw a bunch of nice words at us, but what did it profit the body? Right. Somebody hungry, you just gonna say chicken? Or you gonna give them some chicken? If you say chicken, did the brother get full?
Oh man, the way you said chicken, man, that was delicious.
No, bro, you can't say chicken to a hungry man. You got to, where is the chicken? There ain't no works that go hand in hand with the words that's coming out of your mouth. Go ahead.
Even so faith, if it has not works, is dead, being alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yea, a man may say, you have faith, and I have works. Show me your faith without your works, and I'll show you my faith by my works.
Right, and we got televangelists that's telling us, well, that old way, salvation was based on your performance. He not reading parts of this book purposely. Because I'm sorry to tell you, but salvation has always and will always be performance-based. Don't get it twisted. Don't let some silver-tongued dude lie to you. Go ahead.
You believe that there's no Elohim.
That there's one Elohim.
You believe that there's one Elohim, pardon me. You does well. The devils also believe and tremble. But will you know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead?
Faith without works is dead. Brother, what is that air on, bro? That man, go up, bro. Go up. Take it up. Ephraim, do this brother, teach this brother how to use the air over here, man. I don't think he know how to use it, bro. I think he been on the candles so long that brother know candles and incense. You know what I'm talking about? That brother like, I am focused. You know what I'm talking about? I don't deal with nothing but candles and incense. Incense and candles. Candles and incense. Are you pressing hold?
Once it reach, it's gonna cut on.
Bro, look at that thing for me. Look at that thing. I think it's candles and incense. Why that candle though, bro? Because I don't want you to catch the spirit like that. That ain't how I want you to catch that spirit, bro. That fire get a hold to you, boy. We're gonna see something. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 21. Was not Abraham our fathers justified by works when he had offered Esaac his son upon the altar?
Right. Just by going all the way down to making the sacrifice, and he didn't have to make it. He had to Yahweh took him all the way down to the wire for him to try to make this offering of his son, and it was accounted unto him for righteousness. But that's something that he had to do, not just a bunch of lip service. Go ahead.
See you how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect?
Mm-hmm.
And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed Elohim, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of Elohim. You see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only?
Uh-huh.
Likewise also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works?
Rahab the harlot. The harlot is justified by her works. Here it is. She has not walked according to the law, but when the opportunity came, she did right by Israel and was granted salvation away from all her people. Go ahead.
When she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way, for as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also.
Right. Let's go to Numbers chapter 30. So there has to be something that accompanies all these nice words that we say. And I know we come from that Sunday morning thing where they say some wonderful words. The same people catch the Holy Ghost every week and don't nothing change in their life. Didn't you catch the Holy Ghost last week? Why you still doing the same thing you were doing before? Something should have changed in your life. So the Spirit showed up in your life just for that moment, for you to just run around and jump over 2 pews, and then it left you. But nothing else happened. Man, the Spirit came on these people. These people said prophecies. They said things. They did things that they were not able to do before. When the Spirit came upon those brothers and they spoke in tongues, those were actual languages. There wasn't no goo gobbledygook. Spirit came upon this dude, and now he able to speak Spanish and say the word to a Spaniard. Brother able to speak French. Brother able to speak German. Those are real languages. Don't nobody understand. Nobody understand that. Who are you talking to? Well, I'm talking to the Spirit. The Spirit don't need the word. The Spirit gave us the word. Why are you going to speak the word to the Spirit? That's stupid. Like the Spirit needs you to tell, Spirit, let me explain something to you. How am I going to explain something to the Spirit? The Spirit had to explain something to me. See, we don't even know, a blasphemy when we hear it. You going to explain something to the Spirit. How you let something like that come out your mouth? Numbers chapter 30. Let's read verses 1 through 16.
And Moshe spake unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which Yahweh has commanded. If a man vow a vow unto Yah, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth.
Right. When a man agrees to do something, he is bound. There is no way for him to get out. So in the beginning, when man has agreed, Yahweh gives him, do not eat from this tree. I understand, Yahweh. That is, there ain't no excuse. So when he tried to give the excuse, it was this woman. Shut up, stop talking. There ain't no way for a man to get out of what he has agreed to do. Go ahead.
If a woman also vow a vow unto Yahweh, and bind her soul by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth, and her father hear her vow, and her bond wherewith she has bound her soul, and her father shall hold his peace at her, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she has bound her soul shall stand. But if her father disallow her in the day that he hears, not any of her vows or of her bonds wherewith she has bound her soul shall stand, and Yahweh shall forgive her, because her father disallowed her.
So then she has a level of protection, even if she utters something out of her mouth to vow, and either her father or whoever is in that house over her heard it and say, I disallow that. Check this out. It says Yahweh shall forgive her. She has a level of protection. A man doesn't. Yahweh expects a man to fulfill every vow that he allows to come out of his mouth. With the woman, he has given her a layer of protection. Go ahead.
And if she had at all an husband when she vowed or uttered aught out of her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, and her husband heard it, and held his peace at her in the day that he heard it, then her vows shall stand, and her bonds wherewith she bound her soul shall stand.
Right. And you notice it says, and her husband, if he held his peace at her in the day that he heard it. There's certain things that as a man and as the head of the house, if you are going to save your spouse, it's certain things that you're going to have to step up and deal with. You hear your woman say, you know what, I'll bake cakes for the whole congregation. And you know your woman got bad corns and she can't stand up that long. You got to come up, baby. Wait a minute, your corn's not going to let you do that, boo-boo. You can make 2 cakes, but you can't make 8. You're not going to be able to do that. If he come in, disallow that on the day that he hear it, that is automatically forgiving her. But why does Yahweh even allow that? Because sometimes the emotion will speak before the rest of the stuff set in. But if the man is allowing emotion to speak for him, he can't even be there when emotion has spoken for his wife. Go ahead.
But if her husband disallowed her on the day that he heard it, then he shall make her vow which she vowed, and that which she uttered with her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, of non-effect. And Yahweh shall forgive her.
Yahweh shall forgive her because of what her husband has done. Now, she doesn't even get accused of being a liar. A man, in this case, Yahweh said, you a liar. See, everybody think everything is even. No, it ain't even. Everybody don't get to do everything. The angels have levels. What make you think we don't have them? Go ahead.
But every vow of a widow and of her that is divorced, wherewith they have bound their soul, shall stand against her.
Right. She has absolutely nobody there to utter or stand in between her and Yahweh. So if she say something out of her mouth, being a widow, that's her husband is passed, or being divorced, she doesn't have a husband, everything that come out of her mouth, she got to do it. Go ahead.
And if she vowed in her husband's house, or bound her soul by a bond with an oath, and her husband heard it, and held his peace at her, and disallowed her not, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband has utterly made them void on the day he heard them, then whatsoever proceeded out of her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the bond of her soul, shall not stand. Her husband has made them void, and Yahweh shall forgive her. every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her husband may establish it, or her husband may make it void.
Understand that. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her husband may establish it, or her husband may make it void. Go ahead.
But if her husband altogether hold his peace at her from day to day, then he established all her vows, or all her bonds, which are upon her. He confirmeth them, because he held his peace at her in the day that he heard them. But if he shall in any ways make them void after that he has heard them, then he shall bear her lawlessness. These are the statutes which Yahweh commanded Moshe, between a man and his wife, between the father and his daughter, being yet in her youth, in her father's house.
Right. So then we consider that. Now let's go and see Yahshua dealing with this same concept. Let's go to Yohanan chapter 4. John chapter 4. See, people say, Christ nailed the law to the cross. And when you read this law and then you turn around and read this New Testament, you find him doing the same thing.
11:19.
Yohanan chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 10 through 16.
Verse 10. Yahshua answered and said unto her, If you knew the gift of Elohim, and who it is that says to you, Give me to drink, you would have asked of him, and he would have given you living water. The woman says unto him, Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then have you that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Yahshua answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinks of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinks of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I will give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman says unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yahshua says unto her, Go, call your husband and come hither.
Why? She wants to enter into the covenant. He says, Go call your husband and come here. Because the husband has the right to disannul a vow on the day that he hears it. So he says, before I allow you to enter into this vow, go call your husband. Go ahead.
That was it. Verse 16.
That was it. So we see that he operates the same way. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 30. Elder Barak, it's still chairs in here, man. There shouldn't be other people out there in that lobby. I know we got a lot of rooms in here. In a lot of other places, there's one main room, and everybody has to be in there. But I think sometimes we use those things in different ways. It's like back in the days when we didn't have but one TV. Everybody met in that family room, and we all looked at TV as a family. Now we got 7, 8 different TVs, and you can't find nobody in the damn house. I go in the house, I gotta go find my children. I like, hey, where that 16-year-old at? Where she at? I got to go around the house looking for children. All right, where the little one at? And I can when I go in the house and I don't see them, I can tell, well, all right, one of them in there with a game at. One of them in there looking at movies. Another one looking at a game show. But they all in different areas. So what's not happening? Fellowshipping with one another. This is how we get more money and become worse in the part of dealing with one another. Because we got more area to spread out. Sometimes a smaller area makes us have to deal with one another. And sometimes we don't consider what that is. Go ahead, brother. Isaiah chapter 30, and let's read verses 1 through 5.
Woe to the rebellious children, says Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. That walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth.
Right. We just did a thing about Ghana and their so-called golden jubilee. He said Israel has had a problem. They go down to Egypt. Egypt is in Africa. Okay. They go down to Egypt, but have not asked me. We're ready to take off. At what point did you ask Yahweh? But what then is he saying? Look at what happened in Yohanan chapter 4. Before the woman entered into the covenant, he said, go call your husband. Yahweh then asked his wife Israel, at what point did you talk to your husband before you was ready to go down to Egypt? Right. Read.
To strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion.
Right. So here it is. You know, we don't just leave. And when you're talking about the wife of Yahweh, you're talking about all Israel. So at what point do we consult Yahweh before we make a move? Go ahead.
For his princes were at Zoan, and his ambassadors came to Hanes. They were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them, nor being help nor profit, but a shame and also a reproach.
All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 5. See, when we go through these things, we find out that Yahweh is consistent. He does the same things. So if we can go through and find out where our forefathers have erred in dealing with the covenant, then we can find out how we can never end up in this situation again. And it's one of those things, you know, you want to know, okay, how did our people fall from glory before? So that we can figure out, I don't want to do that again. Jeremiah chapter 5, and let's start that at verse 1.
Run you to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now, and know, and seek in the broad places thereof, if you can find a man, if there be any that executeth judgment, that seeks the truth, and will pardon it.
And I will pardon it.
And I will pardon it. Pardon.
All right? See if you can find a man that executes judgment. If he executes righteous judgment, then that means he's going by the things that are written, not by what he think, feel, and believe. Go ahead.
And though they say, Yahweh lives, surely they swear falsely. O Yahweh, are not your eyes upon the truth? You have stricken them, but they have not grieved. You have consumed them, but they have refused to receive correction. They have made their faces harder than a rock. They have refused to return. Therefore I said, surely these are poor. They are foolish, for they know not the way of Yahweh, nor the judgment of their Elohim. I will get me unto the great men, and will speak unto them, for they have known the way of Yahweh, and the judgment of their Elohim. But these have altogether broken the yoke, and burst the bonds.
Yeah, they said, what do we normally hear on Sunday morning? Oh, they're dealing with that bondage. They're dealing with that bondage. They want to keep those commandments. And we see commandments all throughout the New Testament. But when you can let somebody throw 2 verses at a time on you, you're never going to get the truth of this word reading 2 verses at a time. You can read this book for 100 years. If you don't read but 2 verses at a time, you're going to be just as ignorant as you was the first time you picked up the book. Go ahead.
Wherefore a lion out of the forest shall slay them, and a wolf of the evening shall spoil them. A leopard shall watch over their cities. Every one that goes out thence shall be torn in pieces, because their transgressions are many, and their backslidings are increased. How shall I pardon you for this? Your children have forsaken me, and sworn by them that are no gods. When I had fed them to the full, they then committed adultery, and assembled themselves by troops in the harlots' houses.
When I fed them to the full. See, some of our biggest issues is once we get all our bills paid and things start going good.
I really don't need God right now. I mean, I'm doing good, you know. We got a Lexus and a Benz. I don't really need God. I needed him when I had that old Toyota.
Right. So then sometimes this then allows us to grow worse and worse. Go ahead.
They were as fed horses in the morning. Everyone neighed after his neighbor's wife. Shall I not visit for these things?
Right. And people tell you the law is nailed to the cross. It's the law to tell you which one of these houses is yours. That ain't your house. That's your neighbor's house. You can't be going in there looking at his wife. He said, oh, that law, that's bondage. You might want to accept some of that bondage before you be in bondage. Go ahead.
Saith Yahweh, and shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? Go you up upon her walls, and destroy, but make not a full dam. Take away her battlements, for they are not Yahweh's. For the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah have dealt very treacherously against me, says Yahweh. They have belied Yahweh, and said, it is not he, neither shall evil come upon us, neither shall we see sword nor famine. And the prophets shall become wind, and the word is not in them. Thus shall it be done unto them. Wherefore thus said Yahweh Elohim of hosts, because you speak this word, behold, I will make my words in your mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them.
Right. So it don't sound like he saying a bunch of niceties to me. If the word is fire and the people wood, that means he ain't just throwing out a bunch of nice things, a lot of catchphrases and things like that. He's saying what he needs to say to encourage them to change so that they might live in true peace with Yahweh and Yahshua. Go ahead.
Lo, I will bring a nation upon you from far. O house of Israel, says Yahweh, it is a mighty nation. It is an ancient nation, a nation whose language you knoweth not, neither understandeth what they say.
Right. And you have so many Hebrews that think our way to salvation is going to be learning Hebrew. Yahweh said, look, I'm going to bring some people in, and they going to make you captive. You ain't going to understand what they talking about. We had to learn this language. Go ahead.
Their quiver is as an open sepulchre. They are all mighty men. And they shall eat up your harvest and your bread, which your sons and your daughters shall eat. They shall eat up your flocks and your herds. They shall eat up your vines and your fig trees. They shall impoverish your fenced cities, wherein you trusted, with the sword.
Right. And the way they eat them up today is when you get your check, you see that FICA dude on there. And it get to a point where you want to go see FICA. You want to go see, look at me. Me and FICA need to talk because there's a big chunk of my check missing. And ain't nobody talk to me about FICA. Right. Then they take all that money and go do their evil deeds all around the earth. You know how many bombs you done bought? You know how many villages you done helped kill off? Right. You ain't considered that, have you? See, these are all things that we got to be cleansed from. You paid for some of that. With all that money that they took out your check, you have financed unjust wars. There's a whole lot of things that we think our hands are clean in. They tell you, oh man, the whole joy of true prosperity is having home ownership. Yeah, I got a home. I know it's stolen. I mean, I paid for it. But it was stolen from some Native Americans before I got it. They killed them people and took their land. Now I got land on that house. Oh, I got a house on that land. It was still stolen. But once we get the papers to something, we think, oh no, it's legit. No, it's still stolen. See how happy them people are when they get ready to celebrate their Thanksgiving. See how happy those people are. See if they want to celebrate. This is stolen land. Every bit of it. And sooner or later, Yahweh going to deal with the judgment about it. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Nevertheless, in those days, says Yahweh, I will not make a full end with you. And it shall come to pass, when you shall say, wherefore does Yahweh our Elohim all these things unto us? Then shall you answer them, like as you have forsaken me, and served strange gods in your land, so shall you serve strangers in a land that is not yours. Declare this in the house of Jacob, and publish it in Yehudah, saying, hear now this, O foolish people, and without understanding, which have eyes and see not, which have ears and hear not.
Right. You have eyes but cannot see, and have ears and will not hear. Why? Because we have decided who we're going to see and who we're going to listen to. See, a lot of people believe that if Christ was here today, that we would all listen to him and follow him. And there are so many people that will straight right in his face disrespect him, because he's not going to come in the package that they have been presented with. He ain't going to look like everybody think he look like, and he ain't going to talk like everybody think he going to talk. Christ was a revolutionary. He wasn't no punk brother. They're talking about killing him. He's still talking. He go and pick some of the roughest brothers around to come and follow him and become priests. See, people talk that they would follow Christ if he was here today. They would be upset, crying.
Why don't he look like Joel Osteen? He looked like a Jamaican. Why you got that long hair? Oh!
They say he was going to be a Nazarite. A Nazarite, a razor don't come up on your head. They're going to be upset. Who's this Bob Marley looking dude riding the white horse? Who is that? I don't want to follow Bob Marley. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 22, fear you not me, says Yahweh. Will you not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bond of the sea by a perpetual decree, that it cannot pass it? And though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet can they not prevail. Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it. But this people has a revolting and a rebellious heart. They are revolted and gone. Neither say they in their heart, let us now fear Yahweh our Elohim, that giveth rain, both the former and the latter, in his season. He reserveth unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest. Your lawlessness have turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you.
Your sins have withholden good things from you, and your lawlessness has separated these things from you. Same thing happened in the garden. Same thing happened in the beginning. It's the same thing now. Go ahead.
For among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that sets snares. They set a trap, they catch men.
Right. When I was in the Christian church and they had that $1,000 prophet lie, and you had to pay $1,000 to come down to the front, and you know I paid that little $1,000, and the man tried to make me pass out. Like, hey, brother, real brothers don't pass out. I don't forgot what they told you, but ain't finna be no passing out today. So he just sat there and squeezed my temple, put the thumb on one, the pinky on the other one, and just kept shaking my head, trying to make me pass out. The other dude behind me trying to pull me down. Brother, not gonna happen. I don't care how much you sit here and shake my head. I'm not passing out. Right. They set a snare and catch men, and other people was fake passing out. Sometimes Yahweh puts you in a situation where you have to be uncomfortable. You know how uncomfortable it was standing in the Christian church, and I'm the only dude who didn't pass out? They got 10 people that done passed out. Every last one of us done gave $1,000 to come down there and get that prophet lie. And I'm the only dude standing. Sometimes Yahweh want to see what you gonna do. You think he won't put you in a position to do something uncomfortable? How uncomfortable you think it was for me to stand in front of a whole congregation with the balcony completely full and everybody looking at me trying to figure out why you didn't pass out? I'm looking down now, they peeking up, they ain't passed out. They faking. They want to know why I won't fake it. See, silly me. I'm in a whorehouse trying to be right. Ain't nothing dumber than that right there. I'm the dumb one. Because I'm sitting there I'm thinking, hey, this is the house of God. I'm trying to figure out, I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing. Here it is, it's a game. But I refuse to play a game. And that very well be the thing that got me out of there. Because Yahweh put me in that situation. Let me see how you deal with uncomfort, boy. Right. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 27. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit.
Uh-huh.
Therefore they are become great and waxen rich.
Right. The richest people in our community is the pastors. The drug dealers ain't got pastor money. The rappers ain't got pastor money. Rappers ain't got planes. Go ahead.
They are waxen fat, they shine. Yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked.
Mm-hmm.
They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper.
Uh-huh.
And the right of the needy do they not judge.
Right. They tell you there ain't no condemnation here. We're not going to condemn anybody. What does that mean? That means nobody get fixed. Long as I get rich, I really don't care what happens to any of y'all. Right. That's exactly what they're saying. No condemnation. We're gonna know that there's murderers and liars and adulterers, and we're not gonna deal with any of it. Long as we getting paid. Right. But you got some Hebrews that's trying to deal like that too. Cause see, they say, well, no, you too far left. Or you too far right. We want to be right in the middle of the road. Yeah, that's lukewarm. Those are the people that he spit out of his mouth. Go ahead.
Shall I not visit for these things, says Yahweh? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? A wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land.
Uh-huh.
The prophets prophesy falsely.
Right, they prophesy. See, you give them enough money, they'll travel to your town. And what I encountered, that was a traveling prophet. It wasn't the pastor of that church. They pay one another to get their little traveling prophets to come from town to town. So they done paid this traveling prophet to come in there and juice up a couple people and bow. They got $10,000 that ain't got nothing to do with the regular offering. Just like that. All they had to do is get 10 sapsuckers. And I was number 9. To come down there with a $1,000 check and receive a good prophet lie. Go ahead.
And the priests bear rule by their means, and my people love to have it so. And what will you do in the end thereof?
All right. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 12. And let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Now, brother, I want you to read these a few of these things that we got from Proverbs on here first, because you also have to deal with part of getting our houses in order is dealing with our children as well. So I want you to read each one of those things.
Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 24 says, he that spares his rod hates his son, but he that loves him chastens him betimes.
If you chasten him betimes, that means you chasten him often. See? And a lot of us have been told that, don't do certain things to the children because they already have a nice prison system waiting for our children. So they don't want you to discipline them. No, don't discipline them. We got a place that we're going to discipline them. We got a nice little privatized prison that's waiting for your son. Go ahead.
Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 18, chasten your son while there is hope, and let not your soul spare for his crying.
What does that mean, chasten your son while there is hope? If your son hit 15 and he ain't never got a whooping, hope gone. Hope gone. So you got to catch them while they still crawling and put the real fear of God in them. They need to think that you are absolutely psychotic. If you are a parent, they need to think that you just crazy as all get out. For no reason at all, you just should get up and just start throwing stuff. Ah! What is wrong with that? He's crazy. That's right. Now do what the hell I told you. Go ahead, bro.
Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 13. Withhold not correction from the child,
Uh-huh.
for if you beat him with the rod, he shall not die.
Right. He ain't gonna die. He gonna learn what is right and what is wrong. Next.
Verse 14. You shall beat him with the rod and shall deliver his soul from hell.
Right. So if you let him do all of those things, you delivering him to the grave. And it's too late to start when they grown, they halfway grown. If you ain't done it by now, you might as well just go and turn back around and go ahead and get him to the street. It says while there is hope. Why? Because you stand an opportunity to still formulate their thought process about what's right and what's wrong. You wait too long and you lose that window of opportunity to form the brain about what's right and what's wrong. Now, Hebrews chapter 12, and let's start that at verse 1.
Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witness, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin which does so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us.
If you run with patience, you run to complete the race, not to be first. Not that this is not a race of how fast you get to the finish line. It is a race that if you get to the finish line, if you get there, you win. Don't matter what time you get there. You just gotta get there. That means you gotta keep on walking. No matter what. You fall, you get back up, you keep walking. Go ahead.
Looking on to Yahshua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest you be wearied and faint in your minds.
Lest you be wearied and think that you're really going through something. We have not had to offer up our physical flesh for our sins. A lot of times we think we got some issues. You might want to talk to somebody sitting 2 seats from you and find out the stuff that they have gone through. And it might make you just stop talking about your little trouble. Because you think you got something. Then you talk to somebody else and say, you going through what?
You know what? I'm going to stop complaining. I didn't even know. I'm sorry.
May make you go home and apologize to your Elohim.
I'm sorry for being such a punk. I am so sorry. Because them got them real problems over there.
Right. See, that's the power of fellowshipping. You might fellowship with somebody and find out that they going through some real stuff. That stuff you going through, most of it be self-inflicted. Go ahead.
You have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. And you have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not you the chastening of the Adonai, nor faint when you are rebuked of him. For whom the Adonai loves, he chastens, and scourgeth every son whom he receives. If you endure chastening, Elohim deals with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chastens not?
Right. He is not going to chasten Lucifer's children. And this is where we get confused. How are those people able to be evil and it seems like they're still prospering? Because those Lucifer's kids. Yahweh chastened his children. I can go back to some things that happened when I was 15 years old. I didn't know Yahweh, didn't know nothing about it. But now that I'm in this word, I know that I was always his son. Every time I tried to do some foolishness, I got in trouble. And then I would be mad. I'm mad because my friends can do evil and they prospering. I hit the block, everybody get locked up. The drug dealer don't even want me to say, they're like, here, we gonna give you some money. Don't come out here at all. When you come out here, man, everybody go to jail. Yahweh like, you're not doing that. And I'm mad. I want to do evil. So when people say, things have gone right in your life, no. I tried wrong. I just couldn't get it right. But I tried it. But then you go back and find out Yahweh always had a designation for you to be sitting exactly where you're sitting. He didn't make no coincidences. Go ahead.
Verse 8. But if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are you bastards and not sons.
So if you are bastards and you're not sons, if you are not sons and daughters of Yahweh Elohim, who are you sons and daughters of? Remember now, Lucifer said he'll bless anybody if you bow down and worship him. And all you got to do to worship him is keep the holidays, go to church on Sunday, worship the sun God. All you got to do is walk away from Yahweh, and you on Lucifer's team. Go ahead.
Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness.
Right. So Yahweh's punishment, his chastisement, is for our profit, not for his own profit. It is for our profit that we might alter our walk, that we may be able to receive our salvation. So Yahweh chastens us for us, not for him. Not for a thing, oh, you done disobeyed me? Oh, I'm going to get you. No. It is, if I let you keep doing this, you're going to walk away from the greatest gift that you could ever receive. So let me persuade you to walk in the way that you're supposed to walk. Go ahead.
Now no chastening for the present seems to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. Follow peace with all men, and holiness, without which no man shall see the Adonai.
Right, and we have to also take that in with a grain of salt, because it says, be as peaceable as you can with all men, as much as lies within you. There's some people that the only way you're going to have peace with them is to do whatever they want. And if that goes against what thus says Yahweh my Elohim, then we ain't going to have peace. So sometimes to have peace, I just got to stay away from you. Because whatever that is right now, I'm not doing that. See, when I stopped keeping those holidays, there was a lot of upset people in my family. Lot of upset people. And the only way I was going to have peace with them was to let them bring their Christmas tree and put it in my living room. We ain't going to have peace, boo-boo. Because that's not coming in my house. See, once you know better, you do better. I can't do that anymore. I didn't know no better then. I can't put the car in reverse and drive backwards. Reverse is the least used gear of a vehicle. You're only supposed to back up a little bit. The car not meant for you to drive in reverse for a long period of time. You're supposed to back up about 14 feet, turn wherever you turning, and the rest of the way, you going forward. Go ahead.
Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of Elohim, lest any root of bitterness spring up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person, as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For you know how that afterward, when we would have entreated the blessing, inherited the blessing, pardon me, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. For you are not come unto the mount that might be touched, and that burned with fire, nor unto blackness and darkness and tempest, and the sound of a trumpet and the voice of words, which voice they that heard entreated that the word should not be spoken to them any more. For they could not endure that which was commanded, and if so much as a beast touch the mountain, it shall be stoned or thrust through with a dart. And so terrible was the sight that Moshe said, I exceedingly fear and quake.
Mm-hmm.
But you are come onto Mount Zion, and onto the city of the living Elohim, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to Elohim the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect, and to Yahshua the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel. See that you refuse not him that speaks.
Right. So we have that opportunity that we can still reject the knowledge that is given unto us. Go ahead.
For if they escaped not who refused him that spake on earth, much more shall not we escape, if we turn away from him that speaks from heaven, whose voice then shook the earth. But now he has promised, saying, Yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. And this word, yet once more, signifying the removing of those things that are shaken, as of things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain. Wherefore, we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace, whereby we may serve Elohim acceptably with reverence and godly fear.
Mm-hmm.
For our Elohim is a consuming fire.
And if we have that godly fear, it transfers into respect. And when we have a certain level of respect, we operate a certain way. When we see the police, we see that gun on their side, we know that bullets happen to just fly inside a black man. There's a certain kind of respect when you see that police and he show up. Because you know that he don't bear that gun in vain. He don't have that gun for no reason. No, he'll use that. So you see his power and you have a certain amount of respect. Do we see the power of Yahweh? And do we have that respect that we're supposed to have for him? That translates into godly fear so that we do the things that are pleasing unto Yahweh our Elohim. If we have not been watching the things that are going on, we are definitely getting closer and closer to the redemption of the children of Israel. And sooner or later, we're going to have to make a decision. We're going to have to make a choice on whether or not we're going to serve Yahweh or whether we're going to serve Mammon. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.